Okay, hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this episode we will be taking a look at what is PRPL Plus. But first let me take a side route. Here I have a script that spawns cannon shots in 12 directions. And as you can see, some of them are friendly and some of them are enemies. And this is actually due to a bug that this is the code, and I will show exactly what does what in another episode perhaps, but the bug is here with this. Now I could explain it better, but it would, all you need to do is that this function takes a parameter whether or not the spawn shot will be an enemy shot or not, and it needs to negate that because the other function that it calls take the reverse, for example, this actually sets the properties of the spawn shot, and it needs the opposite whether or not the shot is enemy or not. I guess this takes the argument whether the target of the cannon shot is enemy. So if you need to spawn an enemy cannon shot, you need to say that its target is not enemy, I guess. That is why you need to negate this. Well, the reason isn't that important, as is the fact that you need to negate this variable. And why is that important, you ask? Well, here we call this method that spawns the cannon shot several times, and oh yeah, this here are, you could expect a maximum here, but there are some optimizations that the maximum is actually on the stack from previously here. Maybe it is too complicated, but for now you need to know that this is called several times, and this is actually negating the very same variable that is used here. So what you could do is to just rename this variable, right? You could do this. Just make sure that this is a different variable. Now this negation will not affect this. So if you can see that it is still switching between enemy and friendly shots, and if I compile, then you can see now it works as intended and all the shots are enemy. Now why am I showing you this? Because when I was writing this code, these shots didn't have red color yet. So it wasn't so easy to spot the problem. And since this function is not intuitive, that you need to negate its input, it was hard to me to find where was the problem. Because the debugging was also hard, because when I moved the ship around, depending on, like, I couldn't tell by the color if it's enemy or not, so I had to move a ship in the way and see if it hits or not. And based on what of the cannon shot I was testing, I would get different results. So it was very frustrating, and I spent half an hour just to find this one little mistake. So what I did in the end was just rename the variable name, and you can see that this could be a problem if the code was even longer, which happens to me quite often. It is a complete nightmare to debug for half an hour only to find out that there is some variable in two functions and one function overrides the variable in the other, and that is why it is why this doesn't work. So I created a program that does this for me itself, that it renames all the variables in all the functions so that they aren't the same and this cannot happen. Now this is the program, PRPL Plus I call it, because it's technically a different language than PRPL that gets compiled into PRPL, but for you, you need to know how to download it and make it work for yourself if you want to try it out. And how to do it is relatively simple. You just follow these links. So I will now show you how how to run it yourself if you want to try it out. So first you need to install Java 8. You just go here, link will be in the description, and choose the proper build. Just click accept license, choose this, and it will be a standard installation. You just click yes, yes, yes until it's done. So next up, I will link this in the description as well. You download and extract this file, right? This is the program itself. So let's do it. Let's just download it into games. Why not? So I will do it with you so you can see how it is done. So we extract to here, and then we just run this, right? Just double click on the R and it should start up if you install Java correctly. And what's next? Just click the compile every second. So you can either compile by hand by clicking this. Oh, it can even detect that no files were changed since last compilation. Or you just click this and it will automatically check every second for changes in the files and compile for you. So now you can just, oh yeah, never mind that. Yeah, click compile every second and minimize the window. Done. Now what we need to do is rename the files in which you want to use the PRPL plus to the right extension. So we can do this right here. So we just do save as PRPL plus. Done. And next, what do we have? Oh yeah, this is a somewhat important step. You can set the language to PRPL if you have the syntax highlighter from the forums. But then if you use the custom variables like this, let's say that local variables. Let's say that this will be a local variable. You will see it is not syntax highlighted. So you change the syntax highlighter to this, and you can download it from the forum as well. Right, to just download this, I guess I can download it with you. Yeah, okay, let's just close this so we don't have to click that dialog every time. And let's just set you click define your language import, and then where was it? I think I downloaded it here. Games, was it? Yeah. Well, this is, well, whatever, just find where you downloaded it and it will say import success. Now I have it twice, so I'm gonna delete one. Yeah, sure. Oh, so then you just go, wait, what? I think yeah, PRPL plus. Now what is going on here? Okay, let's try to change something and why? Okay, let's remove this one as well, and then let's import again. Oh, I had the same language twice, so maybe that is why it is making these problems. Okay, import successful, right? It's here. Let's try restarting Notepad. Oh, here we go. Now we do this, and it should do automatically by the extension next time you open a PRPL plus file. So you can see nicely highlighted local variables. So what this does is we can actually take a look at spawn cannon shot. Yes. So what we can see is it renamed the variable for us. and this is a unique prefix that will be different for every function. So we don't have to, but if we wanted to, we could, for example, make this a local variable as well. And then the compiler should compile it for us, and we can see the change here immediately, that again this is a different prefix from here. So if we had local variables like this, even though this is the same variable name, and we can do this as well, because why not, right? All of them will now have, wait, what is now? The notepad is sometimes slow on the registering of the change. You can see that the variables are now all different, which will fix the problem that this variable was overwriting this one, and now again we can see that all the shots are enemy, which is what we want. So this is how you do it, how you use it. The PRPL plus file will be compiled into the PRPL file in the same directory, and you of course still need to hit compile after that, and you are good to go. You can just close this and edit this directly, and every second it gets recompiled if you change something, right? Let's change the number to, I don't know, 50. Let's go crazy. Let's compile, and you can see the change already. So not once has it happened to me that it wouldn't compile in time. It always takes me at least a second to alt tab and compile here, so that's not a problem for me. Right, let's go back to 16, let's say, compile go, right, simple. And let's take a look at the other features that PRPL Plus has. So these were the local variables I was talking about, right? Just write read, how it's compiled, yeah, we saw that. We can also use this if we want to. So maybe, how do you write it? Like this. And this I call a script variable. It is the same everywhere here. So what's the difference between these two? Well, this one will actually be different if we include another script. Now script including is another feature of PRPL, so maybe I'll return to this when I get to it. So you can also do delete exists and all the variants with reference. So we could ask if this local variable exists, we could delete it. Oh no, like this, delete it. And we could even set it by reference, which is like this, I think, right, which you write to and as reference. Maybe it's the other way around, let me check. Well, that doesn't matter. If it's the other way around, like this, I don't remember from memory which way this is. I think this one. Yeah, this is the way it is. So this will work as well. So next, what do we have next? Yeah, this is also important. It also checks, if you look here, it says no warnings, no errors, no nothing. And this actually checks the usage of the variables. So let's say that I mistype and do this, right? Normally you wouldn't notice, this would just read 0, and maybe you could notice it right away that something is wrong with the code. So if we compile here, like nothing happens, right? You are wondering what is happening. But if you look here, you can already see some warnings that this variable is never written to and this variable is never read from. So you know that you probably did something wrong. And we still see a problem. at line 17 this variable. Oh right, when I was, okay, oh yeah, by accident I deleted this as well. Yeah. So normally you would search for a long time where is a problem. This was also common. I could spend again sometimes half an hour searching for a problem, and all I did was misspell a variable name. Now this will check it for you and compile, and we can see that it's working again. So I find this quite useful. Next on the list we have script including. Now you can include one script into another one. So I have prepared this script here. And maybe what you want to do is to initialize a variable here. And this is a good time to show you what a script local variable is. Now this is local to this script. If you include this script here with this command, this variable will not be visible here. Doesn't matter if I access it as a global, as a normal variable like this. These two are different. Doesn't matter if I access it as a script variable here, because this script variable is different than this script variable because it's in a different script, right? So what we can do is count how many times this function was called. So if it's called for the first time, we want to return 1. So every time it is called, we need to increase this and then return this. So why couldn't we do just a local variable? Well, because here when we initialize it, we need this to be same as here. So a local variable like this wouldn't work because then here it would be different than here. We need these two to be the same variable, so we use a script local, but we don't use a completely normal variable like this because then maybe this script also has a variable named times called, and calling this function would override this variable here, and we don't want that either. So that is why you can use a script variable like this, which is ever useful only if you use multiple scripts. If you use just one script, right, and you never include, then this is completely useless to you. But it's useful to know what it does in case you ever need it. So we call it 3 times, and we should see, yeah, that we see it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, easy. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, these variable, these including files like this is good when you have some functions that you often need to call from multiple scripts. It could be some helper functions, some utility functions, or things like that. So you don't have to copy paste them everywhere, you just copy paste one line. And finally, how do you include it? Well, you just write rel include and then the name of the script, which is actually a relative path from this file to this file. So you can even do a script from a different map with something like this. Right, so this you can use the same script in multiple maps. Again, you don't have to copy paste. You just in the new map you write one line and you are done if you want to use the same script in multiple maps. Well, that is all for the import, I think. Yeah, the final one. If this indeed is a library that doesn't do anything on its own, like imagine just adding this script to a unit is useless, you want this script to be included in something else, you can write percentage library as the first command, in which case it will not be compiled to PRPL file on its own. So if I actually open the directory, I have it right here, canon spawn test scripts, you can notice that there is no different script.prpl. This is because of this. So this will tell the PRPL compiler to not compile this file on its own, only when it is included from somewhere else. And you will also not see it here. So it is a way to reduce this script list to a minimum. So next we have just a few features to go over. The first line is multi-line comments. Very simple. You just write this for a start of multi-line comment and this for the end. Now what I find it useful is I could do maybe duplicate trace if I quickly want to see what is here. And then if I don't want to see it, I can do this. So this is a cool way to use this. Just beware, because if we don't want to include, right, let's get rid of this. Normally the PRPL plus wouldn't mess with the numbering of the line. So if I make a mistake here and it will tell me like mistake at line 52, I can go at line 52 and look what I am doing wrong. However, if you do this, if the end of the line isn't, end of the comment isn't at the end of the line, what this will do is it will, no, this is like not that important. See, it will, because it will move this to the next line, so the line numbering will get a bit wrong. But you would use these comments probably like it was here, right? So if this is at the end of the line, it will not screw the line ordering. And I had inclusion of another script here, and that would of course mess up the line numbers as well. So I hope that makes sense to you. But you can just have multi-line comments, which is nice. Next, oh, this is the newest addition. If you want to create a list easily, you just do this. And that's all. This will create a new list with the numbers 1, 2, 3. So let's see if it works. Oh, and I didn't put ones there, so it will just spam this completely. No, something is wrong. Let me see. Oh, I am just pretend that didn't happen. And yes, we can see the, oh, where is the 16 coming from? Do I have trace? Oh yeah, I have this still here. So get rid of it. Compile, and here we go. Right, so we can see the list created by this, and you can even nest it right here, like this. Like you can put strings in there, and anything you like. So let's try now what it does. Okay, and see, pretty straightforward. And if you are wondering how this is done, we can take a look. Just do edit, and we can see, oh, what is this? So the start, oh, get rid of this. The start of the list gets compiled to this constant in the hopes that you would actually not use something like this in the code yourself. So this should be like a unique string, and the end will get compiled to this function. Now what this function does? Well, that's pretty simple. It just takes things from the stack until it finds this on the stacks and it puts them in a list. Now this is written so that it doesn't use any variables at all for various reasons, and so like this swapped up blah 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 blah. So you don't need well, you can just look and figure out why this works if you are interested. But you don't need to look under the hood if you don't want to. You just create lists like this. Like let's return 1, 2, 3, because here it is simple, right? This marks the start of the list, and this will create the list just as these three, and then stops when it finds this on the top of the stack. So I hope that makes sense. And lastly, we have these two, and these two are fun because you can do this. You can write block start and block end, and then you can do this, which is really nice if you have some long code that, maybe do it under the function definition. So you'll see this function and you see the arguments and the names, but if you need to edit it or see what it does exactly, you just open and close. Nice. And lastly, this is back from the day when I was working uh, with how to make custom ships. You can write hexadecimal number. So this will write 32 because 20 in hexadecimal is 32. So let's try that. Yeah, see 32. This is like the most boring feature ever. Okay, yes, modify. And I think that's all. Well, you can read more here, but it is more or less the same that I talked about. So thank you for watching and see you next time.